Hey guys, so my name's Aren Kiladjian. I'm a sophomore here and I'm an intelligence analysis major. So I want to begin by just starting with something that I witness every day, something that's constantly on my mind. So a good friend of mine is in a really unhealthy relationship, and I witness every day as she's followed by him everywhere. He's constantly whispering in her ear and following her no matter where she goes. Even when I try to talk to her one-on-one, he's there, and he's constantly on her mind. You see, he even has a GPS that keeps track of where she is. Yeah. So what's interesting about this is that she has an unhealthy dependency for him. She has what psychologists call an unhealthy dependency because she has extended her self-worth to him. Meaning, depending on what he says and what he does, her mood changes accordingly. But worst of all, he forces her to become a perfectionist. She tries to perfect everything she does, and he just makes her anxious. Now, all of us in this room will feel anxious at one time or another, but the key is in how we handle that anxiety. And in my friend's case, he renders her incapable of handling any of the anxiety she feels every day. But this friend of mine is you. And he is the very object that lies resting in your pockets and is held in many of your hands. You see, our smartphones render us incapable of handling the anxiety that we face every day. It creates this fear of failure in our lives, and it's an abusive relationship that most of us don't even recognize. Our lives revolve around this search for certainty, because with certainty comes this feeling of control. But what we don't realize is what effect it has on us every day. Think of it as trying to mitigate risk, trying to minimize the risk of every single action that you partake in. But what are we trying to minimize? What is failure? See, for most of us, failure is actually not even defined by us, it's defined by other people around us. It's defined by society. So think back for a moment to the last holiday picture session that you had. See, if you ask any of my family members, they'll tell you that I hate this time, because it's not just one photo. In fact, it's not even two. You'll take 10 or 20 photos, and then everyone's got to swarm and check the camera to make sure that that photo is perfect, right? But what's interesting is the success of that photo isn't even dependent on the people who are in it. More often than not, it's actually dependent on the amount of likes it gets on Facebook or Instagram. The success of that photo is dependent on other individuals. So this fear of failure is shown in ways that many of us don't even recognize. Barry Schwartz, who's an author of The Paradox of Choice, showed a very similar idea, where he described two types of people. He described maximizers and satisficers. The maximizers are individuals who try to maximize every single decision that they partake in, while satisficers are individuals who will accept something that meets their basic qualifications. So think of satisficers as individuals who basically focus more on efficiency rather than being thorough. What's interesting about this is that maximizers are actually less satisfied with their decisions than satisficers, because they're constantly worried about all of the options that they didn't choose. Whereas satisficers will take the first option that comes along and be okay with it. So in our information age that we are in today, this is incredibly important, because this is increasingly prevalent. It's extremely easy for us to try to be certain about every choice that we make, because all the information is right here. It's very easy to double check every single decision when we have dictionaries and all the information right on our phone. We are embodying this perfectionist ideal. But the problem with this is that we don't even recognize it. And how can we hope to change the anxiety in our lives when we aren't focusing inwards and taking the time to understand that anxiety? And this addiction is something that we don't even recognize. Think of the last time and how it felt when you forgot your phone, or when your phone died. How did that feel? Could you even answer a factual question without saying, well, but I would double check on that? You see, this relationship that we are all in stops us from being able to reflect and understand what's truly going on in our lives. This fear of failure that we have leads us to try to perfect every single decision, but that in itself creates anxiety for us. So if we hope to try to solve the anxiety that we all feel, and if we hope to try to mitigate some of the issues that we have, we must first look inwards. And what that means is that we need to reclaim control over our self-worth. We need to recognize that uncertainty is merely a part of life. And we need to take the time to reflect on ourselves. Because if we want to reach beyond our horizons, we need to recognize that failing is merely a part of life, and not try to be certain about every single aspect of it. Thank you.